You've seen those really intricate chalkboards, the ones that have fancy colors, beautiful fonts, and drawings. Want to learn how to do that yourself? Keep watching. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out my channel. This is Katie Fehlinger DIY, and if you're new here, nice to meet you. I'm Katie, and on this channel I share all sorts of ideas, techniques, and tutorials like you'll see in this video to help you make your home your happiest place. So if that sounds good to you, consider subscribing and ring the bell to get notified when new videos drop every Thursday. Okay, so you've seen those stunning chalkboard signs outside restaurants and stores, and they look a lot like a professional artist must have handcrafted them, right? Well, today I'm going to show you 2 ways to create your own chalkboard sign. And make sure you watch to the end because I have a bonus tip that'll show you how to seal your design. So let's get into it. Method number 1 is as easy as tracing, just like we did back in grade school. So here's what you're going to need: a blank chalkboard, chalk markers in colors of your choice, stencils in sizes and fonts of your choice, and masking tape. And guys, I will put links to the products that I used, or at least close dupes, down in the description if you want to check those out. So up front, the main thing you need to have planned out is the spacing and design that you want to go with. Now, as an example, I created this cute sign as part of the decor for my twin daughter's Sesame Street birthday party a couple of years ago. Now, before any marker tips touched that chalkboard, I knew exactly which colors I wanted for each word, how many words would go on each line, and a basic idea of how I wanted to space everything out. And guys, that chalkboard sign was just one part of a pretty epic Sesame Street party. So if you want to check out my video with all the ideas that I incorporated into it, I'll link it up here and below in the description. But back to the sign. Okay, before we get into any of the actual coloring steps, I want you to rip off a bunch of small pieces of masking tape and stick them to the side of your workspace so they're easy to grab once you get started. Trust me, you're going to want to have these ready. And I'd say go with maybe 10 to 12 pieces. So today, for this example, I'm putting together a sign for my girl's first day of school, and I plan to get some cute pictures with it. Now, I actually just posted a video with a bunch of back to school tradition ideas if you're interested in that. You can check it out here. Now, as you're planning your layout, you can measure out where your letters need to go with a ruler, but honestly, I prefer to just eyeball it. And then once you've got a plan how you want to space everything out, you're going to tape down the first letter or shape of your sign. Now, it makes sense to work from top to bottom, left to right for me, but this is more of a personal preference thing. However, I would suggest starting at an edge that you can butt your stencil up against so that you'll have an easier time lining everything up. Now, the main reason that I like to tape my stencils down is so that my hands are free to work with the chalk, and then I won't have to worry about the stencil slipping as I try to hold it down. And now I'm going to shake up my chalk marker really well, just like a can of spray paint. Then to get the pigment going, I'm going to press and pump the tip down on the chalkboard surface. Now you can test this out on a sheet of scrap paper too, but this does also work. And then once the pigment starts flowing, you can just color in the stencil. So super easy. Then just pull back the stencil to reveal your work and peel off the masking tape to reuse with the next one. Now chalk markers tend to dry and set pretty quickly, which is nice, and you'll be able to tell because it'll turn completely matte. But keep in mind, if you load the pigment on thick, it may look glossy initially. So just give it a hot second to turn totally matte. You shouldn't have to wait long, and then you can move on to the next letter. So you're going to remove your masking tape, reset your stencil, tape it down, and then fill it in with color. And then you're just going to repeat this process for the whole sign. A few technique notes here. If you're dealing with an opaque stencil like I have here, it's a little tricky to figure out where you need to line up subsequent letters. So I like to overlay the next stencil over the previous one so I can gauge where the bottom of each letter falls. And then I carefully slide the stencil over and place it. This will give you a pretty good guide of where each letter needs to go, provided you're not going for perfection of spacing and measurement. Just do this with a light touch though, so that you don't smudge the chalk underneath. And also, since chalk isn't permanent, it can get a little messy and transfer easily. So if you need to use the same stencil more than once, or perhaps with a different color, keep in mind that the old color might transfer onto the new stencil you're working on. So you can take a damp paper towel or a rag and gently wipe off any excess chalk before you reuse the stencil. And a few extra damp paper towels would be a good thing to just have at the ready to keep your hands clean and also wipe away any messes. And now I'm going to wrap this up with a few little embellishments, and that's it. I am all set for some cute pictures on my girl's first day of school. So what do you think so far? Let me know if you think you might want to give this a shot. And I know that this first method is definitely tedious, but it is very easy, right? Especially when you see it broken down. But now we move on to method number 2, which has a lot more options in customization, sizing, design, and it's a lot more precise. And that's because we're using a Cricut machine to make a custom vinyl stencil. Now we're still using some of the same materials, a chalkboard and the chalk markers, of course, but the only other things you really need for this method are the actual vinyl stencils, some transfer tape, and either a weeder or a toothpick. Now, we're going to get to that part in a minute, but let's first head briefly into my computer and I'll show you what I'm working on in there. So I'm in Design Space at design.cricut.com and I'm going to create a new project. Now, I have an entire playlist full of tutorials and projects all about this machine. I'll link it up in the cards and in the description, but in essence, I'm making 3 separate text boxes with 3 separate fonts and pairing each with a special image. So on the actual chalkboard, I have about 20 by 21 inches of space to work with. So I'm going to size each of these elements to fit within that space. This is going to be a special welcome sign for my girls' birthday party, and they adamantly requested Paw Patrol, dinosaurs, and dragons. So we are maxing out our theme allowance. Okay, the project is ready to cut, so I'm going to prep the machine and let it do its thing. Once more, I have a bunch of videos explaining this process and how to prep vinyl stencils for painting, or in this case, coloring. So take a look in the playlist I linked below if you want more guidance. Now, let's fast forward to the sign itself. Each section of my sign is broken up into separate stencils. So I'll start with this dragon image. So I've put transfer tape on the stencil to get the image onto the chalkboard, and I'm peeling off the backing from the vinyl and placing the whole thing like a giant sticker right onto the chalkboard. And I'll continue on with all the other sections until everything is laid out the way that I want it. And then I'll start to work my way down the stencil. So I'm peeling off the transfer tape section by section, but still leaving the vinyl behind. And just like before, I'm shaking the marker up, pumping the tip a few times to get the pigment flowing, and going for it. Now, I'm going to just leave the vinyl on the chalkboard for now to give the chalk a chance to set, but as long as it's dry, you can peel the vinyl off as you go. Now, halfway down, I actually have some stencil overlap. Now, that's fine, as long as the actual image to be colored isn't covered up. So I'm going to start on the right side this time, peel off the transfer tape, and color in my little dog image. And because I have this overlap, I'm going to take the vinyl off my dog image now so that I can access the word ultimate next to it. And I'll continue to color in each stencil with chalk until the whole thing is filled in. Cool. So now I need to peel off the rest of the vinyl stenciling. And since I have some small pieces of vinyl to pull up, I'm going to go in with my weeder. Now, if you don't have a weeder, you can use a toothpick, but this is just a special tool that's used to pull up material with precision. I use this in nearly all of my Cricut projects. So I'll use the weeder to peel off those extra tiny pieces, like the center portion of the word bash, the eye and the nose on my dinosaur and my pup stencil, and all the extra intricate detail on this font. So the weeder will ensure that the chalk isn't disturbed as I pull up vinyl, since the point is so sharp. And bonus tip time, as is, your sign is complete. But if you want to make sure it doesn't smudge, you can seal it with hairspray. Now, it's got to be in an aerosol can, and all you do is lightly spray some over your project. And just like that, your project is sealed in. Cool, right? So now you have 2 ways to create your own professional looking chalkboard sign. I love using signs like this for my kids' birthday parties especially. And if you have your own bash coming up, I've actually put together a kids' party planning checklist so you can stay organized. The link to grab that is down in the description. And just one final question for you. What would you put on your own chalkboard sign, and how will you utilize it? Let everyone know in the comments. And meantime, if you like this video, please let me know. Hit that like button, subscribe, share it with your creator and DIY loving friends, and you can also ring the bell to get notified when new videos go up every single Thursday. And all my DIY junkies, where are you at? If you haven't already, you need to join the nearly 1,300 people that are already a part of my creator community. There is a link in the description if you want to check that out. And in between videos, stay in touch with me. I'm on all the social platforms. They're all listed below, and I really do always love hearing from you. So thanks guys so much for watching. Keep creating your happy place. I will see you next Thursday. Come on, man. Am I centered? No. Girl, you look good once you back that script up. I am a nerd and a half. I have juvenile on the mind. would consider I'll link it up. If you load the pigment on thick, the pigment, come on, Fehlinger. Load the pigment on, I said pigment again. Pigment is not a word. Hello, friends. What? I'll link it up here. Where am I linking? Right there. Who dis? And guys, that was, I'm going to get into my computer and I'm gonna, I have got to get myself together.